Well, good afternoon, everybody. Excited to be getting closer to game week. Just finished practice this morning. Coaches are up watching and looking at the film. We've transitioned over a little bit this week to doing some Nichols State work. We're still doing quite a bit of K-State, and battling the ones against the ones, just limiting that a little bit more, and then spending some more quality time with some scout team work, getting our preparation continuing on for Nichols State. The guys have been working really hard. I'm pleased with where we are at. We still have a lot of work to do, but we still have probably about 10 days or about 8 practices to get this all ironed out and ready to go so that we can put our best foot forward on August 31st. And I know the guys are excited about getting a chance to play, but more importantly, they know that we have to continue to attack each day and continue to progress on a daily basis so that we are ready to play, because we still have some work to do, all areas, offense, defense, and teams. And I'm pleased that our leadership, we've got a bunch of exceptional seniors and juniors that are doing a really good job of challenging the guys on a daily basis to give more and to be their best. And for us to be where we want to be, we have to continue to improve on a daily basis. So today was a great practice. I thought the guys had great energy and focus, and now the challenge is to stack another good one on there tomorrow. So open up for questions.
Coach, typically this time of year, you're bringing back a national championship team, but we sense a lot of enthusiasm among this group. How would you describe that enthusiasm and what it all stems from?
Well, the guys are excited to go out and compete and play every day. I've been really happy with the effort on a daily basis to come out there and continue to try to improve. They know that they're learning something from our schemes every day. They're learning something from a coach every day on how to do a technique, or it's all new to them. That's the thing that I've enjoyed. It's all new to them, so they're really sponges. They want to continue to improve and get better, and they know that we're barely scratching the surface of what we're doing offensively and defensively. And for us to stay on that trajectory, to be where we want to be, we have to continue each day to get better, and they're excited to improve every day.
What are one or two things specifically that you're most impressed with right now, and what are maybe one or two biggest concerns right now?
Well, the one or two biggest concerns are us detailing things every day. I think broad perspective, understanding offense and defensive schemes, I think we're doing a great job, and that's a positive. But we have to continue to detail our work, detail an alignment, an assignment, detail a footwork, a hand placement, whatever it may be. That's where we still have to continue to try to push each other to be better, because once again, I like where we're at, but now it's just detailing, whether it's a specific play, whether it's a technique, in that not just offensively and defensively, but special teams as well. And so we're by no means ready to go, but I like the enthusiasm and how eager the guys are to learn.
Coach, can you give us an injury update on Adam Harder?
Yeah, Adam's going to be lost for the season. He had a knee injury a couple weeks ago. It was his first day back. He'd had some hamstring a little bit issues throughout the summer, and unfortunately for Adam, he was injured, kind of a non-contact deal in practice, and he'll miss this season. And still, we're trying to figure out where that will be as far as getting this fifth year or getting his senior year back.
I guess, who else would you be looking at fullback, and how does just that hit, and then Nick Leonard's only being fresh going back at tight end, kind of impact everything at those two positions?
Well, it does, but at least we have the time to figure it all out. I mean, everybody that's a tight end is also a fullback, from Leonard's to Logan Long to Blaze to Sammy to Luke Soa. We're throwing Jack Steneen in the mix as well. I mean, there's so many bodies back there that now Coach Mess is just – we have the time. It's unfortunate that Adam was injured, but it's not like it's happened 2 days before a game. So we have a number of guys that will keep rotating through. There's not going to be a set, boy, you're the only thing you are is a tight end, and the only thing you are is a fullback. We have to continue to push the guys and see how much they can absorb and understand to play multiple spots. And so it'll be a revolving door there. But a lot of guys are going to play too.
Easy to detail your lesson learned as a head coach over the course of the last 5 years?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Is it Easy to detail your lessons learned as a head coach.
Oh,
over
I'm
the course of
learning
the last
stuff
5 years.
every day. Whether it's about our team, that's the main thing, because I'm still getting to know these guys. And every day, I think I learn a little bit more. I think all of our coaches learn a little bit more about these guys, of their skill set, especially of the things that we need to do to put them in positions to be successful. But once again, we as a staff are really pleased with the effort, the energy. The guys are busting their tail to try to learn what we're doing.
We were out of practice yesterday. It looked like Cody Fletcher was in a boot. What's the update on his status?
He's got a lower leg injury. I think Fletch will probably miss maybe 2 more weeks, as we're hopeful. So is he going to miss the first game? I would say he would. The second game, I think there's potentially he could be back. I think it's one of those things we're going to evaluate him again, probably between week 1 and week 2.
How comfortable are you with the other linebacker depth that's developed there so far during practice?
We're rotating 3 guys right now. In there a lot, Eli, DeQuan, and Daniel Green. Those are the 3 guys that are rotating. Nick Allen's in that rotation as well. We're pushing those top 3 guys to learn multiple positions. Eli's playing both positions. Daniel Green's focusing more on Mike, and DeQuan's focusing more on Will Backer, and Nick can play both spots as well. So we're fortunate that we're not losing Cody for very long, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we need to be smart with him, and then we can still swing Eric Gallen back and forth between linebacker and defensive end. So we're probably a little bit more thin on special teams just because Fletch was a starter on all 4 teams, and so we're trying to even out and divvy up those reps on special teams.
Since you don't have a special teams coach directly, we really haven't addressed all the positions all that much. How are you feeling personally about where everything is, field goals, return game, punting, everything? What are your feelings on it right now?
I feel really good. We're doing a really good job. We have Stanton Weber that's a quality control coach for us, and obviously Sean's still helping us with quality control. So those guys using their expertise to the coaches that are responsible for each unit has been really productive. I feel really good where we're at in special teams, especially where we started in the 1st of August to where we're at now. We've made really good strides and really good leaps. I'm really pleased. Devin Ankles is a phenomenal punter, and Devin, I look forward to having an All-American type season. Blake Lynch is doing a great job kicking field goals and has a lot of confidence. We're rotating 2 snappers. Wes and Randon are both snapping. We'll continue. I think those 2 competing against each other has helped raise both their levels of play up. I like Phillip Brooks as a punt returner, kick returner. Jordan Brown can do both. Malik Knowles can do both. So we have enough depth there. We're just continuing to find more depth as far as just across the board on the punt guys, the cover guys on kickoff. We're continuing to move guys around so that we can find more talent, more depth, and that's where you may see some younger players, whether they're redshirt freshmen or freshmen, get an opportunity on special teams. And we don't have a depth chart yet on all those teams. We're getting closer, but we're working a lot of guys in both units.
And you touched on the returners a little bit there, but your general philosophy for returners, are you looking strictly skill players, running backs, receivers, that type of thing? Would you look at corners, defensive backs,
Yeah.
that type?
Yep, we'd look at all of them. Walt can do it. A.J. Parker can do it as well. But we may try a couple of different guys back there. I know Phil's done it before, and I feel confident with him. And so, but no, it's always needing to create depth on the return game, and so we use all the skill guys.
Coach, can you take me back and tell me why it was so important for you to hire Colin to the staff, and are there any ways you maybe have leaned on him or looked to him for advice given his knowledge going back to the years of this program?
Well, he knows the program exceptionally well, and he knows what it takes to be a K-State Wildcat, and the pride that he has in being a former player here, I think is, everybody sees that. All the guys that are new, coaches wise, they see what Colin brings, and there's just not a better person than Colin Klein. I have so much respect for him, not only as a quarterbacks coach, but as a man, and I love sitting in on some of the quarterback meetings because I like the way he details everything for those quarterbacks. And, he's coaching them on the big picture, but then he's pulling it down and really hitting the details, whether it's mechanics, whether it's coverages, whether it's footwork. Him being a part of the staff is made, I think, all of us coaches that are new, made it a lot easier on us because we can ask him, hey, what was it? What are some of the things, or last year as far as personnel-wise, I'm not worried about schemes. I'm more worried about looking at personnel, guys that have played a little bit, guys that were in the mix on game plans and stuff. And so, Colin's done a phenomenal job and really excited that he's on our staff.
Coach, understanding that, that it's still a process of learning with the offense in particular, what has pleased you most with the execution to this point?
The fact that Skylar is really running the show and feels more and more comfortable on a daily basis of getting us in and out of the right situation, changing a play at the line of scrimmage, communication that he has with the tight ends, receivers, if we have to check something at the line of scrimmage. Really pleased with all those senior offensive linemen. They've really stepped up, and I think we're really playing as one on the offensive line, and I think that's critical. When you have 5 seniors that are in the mix playing on the offensive line, and whether they've played a lot together or you throw Evan Curl that hasn't played as much, Evan's really stepped up his game, and I've been really pleased to watch Evan join that group of guys that are playing really well. For us to be successful on the offensive on offense, it's going to start with those offensive linemen and Skylar. Those 6 guys have to play really well, and we can't put everything on Skylar's shoulders, and we need to spread some of that leadership out among the offensive linemen. And I've been pleased with Scott and with Tyler and with Adam of taking some of that leadership role on and kind of alleviated some of that from Skylar. And so offensively, I've been really pleased with where they're at.
I've heard a few of your coaches reference not doing conditioning after practices. Would you say you guys are more new school from a sports science perspective and recovery and all that kind of stuff than as opposed to working through those things and just being tough?
Well, I think conditioning is there's different levels of conditioning. Our guys, if you'd ask them, they're taking so many reps with the double rep system. I mean, we're averaging over 70 to 80 plays of team reps on each field. So some of those guys are taking 60 of the 80 plays, and boy, they're playing a full game every time you're out there. They're still conditioning after practice based on, defense has loafs. If they're not running to the football, they're going to condition. Offensively, if they're having turnovers, they're going to condition. But I guess if you'd ask the guys the amount of repetitions they're getting, they're playing a full game out there every practice. And so on the flip side of that, with the double rep system, you got to be smart because we got to get these guys' legs back too, and that's something that we'll do beginning later on this week. We still have a couple of really hard practices ahead of us, but we need to get these guys' legs back. They're in great shape. Coach Dawson did a phenomenal job, and his staff throughout the summer of getting them in shape to play football. Now I think our staff's done a great job of getting them in football condition to make sure they're ready to play games. Now we've got to start toning some things back because we got to make sure our guys are fresh come August 31st.
North Dakota State, when you took over, you inherited systems that were in place, a culture that was in place. Here you kind of started from ground zero. How has that been a challenge for you, and how is it progressing?
Well, it's been fun because you're trying to implement what you believe in and what you know, and what you know works into a culture where they've already had success and they've had tremendous leadership from Coach Schneider when he was here. And so it's just flipping the switch and just trying to learn the way we do things, our staff does things. And I've been fortunate because Scotty was a part of our staff at North Dakota State, and Mess was there. So you got the leaders on each side of the ball that know what we're looking for. When I say we're looking for, all of us as a staff, we're all in this together of what we're looking for from how we do things and how we detail things, not only at practice, but more importantly in the walkthroughs and in the position meetings and in the unit meetings. That's how you're building this culture and building the cohesiveness amongst the units offensively and defensively is those leaders, and I couldn't be more pleased with what Coach Hazelton and Coach Mess are doing to lead their units. And then on top of that, we have such great assistants that have tremendous knowledge, tremendous experience, and Coach Hayes and Coach Mess are so good about saying, okay, I want to know what your guys' input is. I want to have your input and put your stamp on some things, and they're allowing that to happen in those unit meetings. And so it's a daily grind, and and we're continuing to improve on a daily basis. But I'm so pleased with where we're at with the staff and how we've come together and continue to build the culture.
Move into a new program, and you've got to really kind of retrain the culture. You've got all new systems. Maybe your personnel doesn't fit those systems, but you kind of walked in here with similar expectations, similar schemes, although different way of going about it. How's that assisted in this build?
Once again, I don't know all the things that had transpired before. I think offensively, we probably shift trade motion a little bit more than what has been done in the past, but there's some gap scheme, there's some zone scheme, there's some continuity there of things offensively. I think defensively it's a little bit different with the things that Coach Hayes and I both believe in, and the defensive staff. We're more of a Tampa 2 system now as opposed to what they did in the past. We're in the past it was more quarters based, and now it's more too deep based and more hard corners and stuff, and it's in different blitz packages and things that Coach Hayes and I have done throughout the years and dating back to when we were at North Dakota State. That's different from what these guys did in the past, and so when you're a too high defense, you're a too high defense, and they were a too high before, and we're still a too high now, but it's just different ways of doing things. And then you take that across the landscape of offense, defense, and special teams, the terminology is just so different. And so that's where we have to make sure and understand that, what was a term last year could mean the same, but here's what it's called this year. And that's where we're still working through some things. And the guys have done a phenomenal job of learning the terminology and utilizing it so that they're talking Coach Kleinerman's language in the back end of safeties rather than what was in the past, and that's always a work in progress.
How much has Eli Huggins kind of forced himself into the picture along the defensive line? What's he kind of done to afford himself that opportunity?
The way he plays, the way he competes, the way he practices. He goes against Holtorf and Mitch and those guys inside and does a great job, and we need him to be an effective player for us, and it allows us to have more depth at the defensive line. I've been really big into rotating defensive linemen and keeping them fresh. Whether you're playing a 60-play game or you're playing a 90-play game, which we don't want to play, but we may have to at times, you need to have 4, 5, 6 defensive tackles being able to rotate in there, and Eli's done a phenomenal job of adding himself into that mix with a bunch of seniors, and then you throw Drew Wiley in there as well. So I'm still pleased with the depth that we have, both at the D tackle and D end spot.
How much are you guys practicing on the grass fields as opposed to the stadium, and what goes into the thought process in deciding how to split that up?
I'm field space for me. I'm a defensive back guy, and the stadium or any stadium is too small. You only have 100 yards, and so it's just not enough field space. So we've gone over to the grass fields, and we've been able to carve out 2 fields, one about 70 yards and one about 55 or 60 yards. And then we have an auxiliary area for the D-line, O-line. We kind of shove those guys to the side because they can practice on any patch of grass. So it's allowed us to have the offensive skill guys on one field and the DBs and linebackers on another field, so to utilize that space. So that we can do more vertical passing game things and work deep ball drills with defensive backs. Plus, I just think it's easier on your legs, and that means me as well. It's just easier for coaches to be on the grass. And I think the guys like the environment change, just to be outside and being, in open air a little bit more, so to speak, with the grass fields, and you're bouncing around from spot to spot. And I've been really pleased that the fields have held up phenomenally well. For the amount of rain that we've had, we've been forced to come inside, I think come to the inside the stadium only twice. That's pretty remarkable. So hats off to the grounds crew here. They've done a great job. Our fields continue to hold up when we're out there on a daily basis.
Nichols was obviously a pretty good team last year at FCS. How much of an advantage is it coming from the FCS ranks and having some more familiarity, you think, with them?
Well, we're not going to overlook them. I can promise you that. Nichols is a dynamite football team, and I have tremendous respect for their coaching staff and their players, and they've given a number of Power 5 teams a run for their money. And I saw them on film last year because they should have beaten Eastern Washington. They were up early on, and they don't have a block field goal. They're probably advancing on because they had the momentum. Great quarterback, tremendous skill players. They had a Big 12 win last year. Football's not much different, guys. You know, South Dakota came in here last year and probably should have won, and Kansas State found a way to win. And guys understand that if you don't have your A game and you don't play your best football, you're going to get beat. It doesn't matter the level of play.
How close are you to figuring out who your backup quarterback is going to be?
We're still a ways away, to be honest with you, and that's going to probably continue to be throughout the fall. I've been pleased with Nick at times. I've been pleased with John at times. It's the consistency that they both have to bring to the table, as well as the ability to take care of the football. That's what's going to be determined on who that backup quarterback is, and it's a daily evaluation for us. That's why we're still doing a lot of second and third down against good on good, so to speak, or some 7-on-7 or some team periods, so that we still put those guys in the fire against some of the top line defenders we have, so that we can figure out who we feel most comfortable with, and that'll be ongoing. We're not going to name a backup prior to week 1. It'll be between Coach Mess, Coach Klein, and I as we continue to evaluate on a week-to-week basis.
I would imagine a number of true freshmen are going to play but stay under the 4-game threshold. Are there some that right now we're going to use them more than that?
You know, we're still working through that. I think some of the freshmen have hit a little bit of a wall. When you're talking, this is the 3rd week of camp, and they've probably played more football in 3 weeks of camp than some of them have for the last couple of years, especially the intensity that we're playing with. So we're really pleased with all of them. There's still probably 8 to 12 that could help us somewhere along the line. If none of them play in game 1, does that mean we won't play any of them the rest of the season? Not at all. There's a few that are probably further along than others just because of what's between the ears and understanding what we're doing offensively and defensively. There's a number of them that have the ability to play right now, but mentally haven't maybe caught up to what we're doing schematically. That we got to understand that they're just freshmen. It's going to take a little bit more time for those guys to really understand what we need them to do offensively and defensively. So I think weekly we'll sit down as a staff and say, here's the guys that we're going to earmark to maybe help us out, whether it's on teams or offense and defense.
Coach, you talked about culture quite a bit earlier, but I noticed a new addition over on the wall with Pound the Stone, something you guys have said before. Is that just kind of an example of establishing a new philosophy or slogan to get the guys going? Just
that, and continuing to build on the great legacy that is Kansas State football. And Kansas State's got a tremendous tradition here, built by Coach Snyder, and we're trying to continue to build upon that legacy. Ben Newman's a guy that we've brought in here a couple of times as a performance coach, motivational speaker that the guys have really enjoyed, and that's one of Ben's mottos of Pound the Stone that the guys have really tapped into, and we'll continue to do that. And we'll continue to find new ways to motivate guys and find new ways to get guys to believe in the new era of Kansas State football.